baseball food, pizza, wings, and beer. You know, you can bring your kids in, you know, they can play pool or play the video games, or they can sit with you and watch TV too, because you got TVs in every dining room. It's such a place that you can come in with your family and sit down. And again, it's family oriented because it's family owned. When you walk in here, it's like a TV show, Cheers. Everybody knows your name. And you can expect that from in here because everybody knows everybody else.
After a bit of a break, the Sideline Guys are back here at sidelineguys.recordernews.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends at Crystal Ristorante. They're located at 72 Lion Street here in Amsterdam. With Michael Kelly, I'm Adam Schinder. And after a little break for a little bit of a down period in the Thanksgiving holidays, high school basketball season in full swing, and it's been a bit of a struggle so far for the Amsterdam Running Rams.
Bit of a struggle so far. They did show a lot of improvement in their most recent game Friday night. That small team with, you know, starting nobody over 6 feet tall, able to work a 2-2-1 trap back into a 1-3 zone to try to take advantage of some of their quickness to make up for some of that lack of size.
Yeah, they're 0-4 right now. Can't really fault them for their 2 road losses. 2 of the teams that are really in the top half of the Big Ten, in LaSalle and then CBA. The 2 home losses, both close games that they had against Catholic Central, their home opener a little while ago. They had the lead at halftime. Were able to actually take the lead after they gave up the lead in the third quarter. Actually took it back for a moment before just an inability, really a struggle at the free throw line. I heard them in that game. And then Friday night, 6-point loss to Bishop Gibbons.
Right, and Bishop Gibbons, that was a game where they kept falling behind. They kept fighting back, and they'd get, you know, right up to either tied or maybe a basket behind, and they just couldn't break through. Kind of the same thing with the free throws, where they had a couple chances, tied, down 1, go to the line. They missed the front end of a 1-on-1, not able to convert there. But, I mean, I think this is a team, though, that has shown improvement through their first 4 games. They definitely do seem to be heading in the right direction in terms of finding some different groups out there that can work together well and play together.
Yeah, I mean, it's a roster of 15 guys, which head coach Joe Agresto said he's never had before. And really, through the early part of the season, he's played anywhere from 10 to 12, 13 guys in any different games for extended periods of time. Looks like he's starting to pare down that a little bit to at least have a bit of a regular rotation.
Right. I mean, I would say in Friday's Bishop Gibbons game, there was probably a clear 8 or 9 guys who were definitely out there for long stretches of time. And really for that second half, I don't know if you really saw more than 6 or 7 guys as they were going for the win in that one. But with so many lopsided games thus far, they have been able to give a lot of guys time, which... I mean, obviously you'd like to be winning games, but that's not the worst thing in the world this early in the season with 15 guys. See what these guys have coming up from the JVs.
Yeah, just 1 game for the Rams this week, Friday night, on the road at Albany, who's got probably the best scorer in the league at the early point in the season, Daquan Johnson, putting up nearly 30 points a game in league action. And then during the holiday week, a couple of games out in Gloversville. They'll play Hope Charter School from Pennsylvania on Tuesday, and then they'll play either Fultonville or Gloversville the second day out at the Gloversville Holiday Tournament. But let's swing around the rest of the area in boys basketball. Let's start out in Fultonville, where the Braves have once again... They've got to find that kind of third option this year. It's been really the big key for them.
Right. It seems to be kind of alternating between Dan Sheehan and Will Turner behind the kind of the backcourt duo of Charles Parslow and Jarrett Ladd. This is a team that's playing very fast right now. They're probably averaging 15 to 20 more possessions than all the other local area teams, just because that backcourt guard combo coming back. They know how to run the break. They're getting out there, getting a lot of good shots. Hasn't totally translated into win jets, translated into a lot of really close losses, but that's a team too that, I mean, the improvement's been evident from that first game that they played against Brawl and Perth to this past week against Kobelskill, where, I mean, just a world of difference. They looked a lot better even in the loss.
And the Braves on a bit of an extended break right now. They won't play until they play Gloversville next Tuesday. That's a team where really, if they can find someone to replace the real strength inside that they had last year with Luke Nethaway, our player of the year last year. If they can have Will Turner, 6'6", 6'7" sophomore, develop into at least some kind of offensive weapon, and he's shown that he's had a little bit of that ability so far this season, that makes them a very dangerous team in a Colonial Council where you need some size to get by.
Right, and also, I mean, you need some size to get by, but, you know, not many teams in Colonial Council have somebody 6'6", 6'7", who's coordinated and can play. Because Will Turner can play. He's shown a lot of improvement. He missed their first game But since then, he's been getting a little bit better each game. Head coach Eric Wilson's been very high on his potential, and he's actually said going forward, the biggest thing they need to do is work the ball more to him, because they think if they can get it to him in the right spots, that he can do a lot of good things with it.
Brett Alden Perth, they've been struggling, but let's kick it out. They've been struggling really tough in the foothills so far. But let's swing it out west towards the WAC. Canajoharie, Fort Plain. Both of these teams have had pretty decent starts to the season to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think of our local teams, Canajoharie has easily been the most impressive. 5-1 start, 4-0 in the league, beat Fort Plain at Fort Plain to kind of take control of the WAC. I mean, behind Ryan Hodge, they've got a lot of younger guys, but with that senior leader, they've been able to do a lot of good things so far.
Yeah, Ryan Hodge coming off really the best game of his high school career Friday night, 32 points, knocked down 9 3-pointers, and you get a guy who can get on that kind of hot streak from behind the arc, that can carry you to a lot of wins in the WAC.
Right, I mean, and especially in this year's WAC, where it seems to be more of a defensive conference, if you have a kid who's capable of scoring 30 points, there's not many other teams that have that. You look at Fort Plain, more of a defense-oriented team, probably the second best team in that WAC North, but they don't really have a guy who's capable of scoring 30 points. Harold Detmer's a very good offensive player, but not quite with that three-point range to get into those high levels.
Yeah, and for a team that is more of a defensive team, was very impressed a couple of weeks back when Fort Plain in a game against Galway put up 86 points.
So 86 points, and that was it was like 3 days after they had scored 4 points in the first quarter of their win over Mayfield. So they're kind of all over the place. We might have no idea about Fort Plain.
Things can swing on a dime with that team. Let's go back to Broad Alban Perth for a second, because that's a team, a lot of these guys coming off that state championship soccer team. And then when you really account into that, add to the fact you have to replace one of the leading scorers in the section in Tyler Wood, you have to replace 2 big guys in Tom Mittler and Matt Gage, and you really don't have much size to replace them. This was a team that kind of needs to find its bearings.
Yeah, and they've had a really rough start to be able to do that. I mean, like you said, they're 0-4 right now. We're taping before Monday night's game. But if you look at those 4 games, I don't really necessarily know if they should have won any of those games, or at least they shouldn't feel bad about losing any of those games. They played 4 of the, I mean, that's probably their 4 toughest games of their at least the first half of their schedule. So they've really had a rough time maybe finding out who those new guys are going to be for them because of that.
Yeah, Fauna Fultonville and Schuylerville are both going to be contenders in Class B by the time the end of the season comes along, and both Scotia and Glens Falls are both going to make some noise in Class A. So the schedule gets a little more favorable for the Patriots until they hit that second go-around in the foothills. And we swing off that. Let's swing to girls basketball for just a minute. The Amsterdam Lady Rams, 1-2 right now. They've got 1 game this week. They take on Albany. Big game for them. Albany probably the class of the Big Ten heading into the season.
It'll be interesting to see, too, because Lady Rams coming off a pretty long off stretch for them. They had a lot of extra practices last week, this week. Talking to Coach Eric Doolin, he was talking about that. Kind of the main thing they're working on was their defense, because they can score the ball.
No, the 3 guards that all transferred in from Schenectady, Maria LaFond and twins Dominique and Monique Pucci. When you add that into a good shooter, Christiana Johnson, Kelly Paris, who has become a little more consistent scoring on the block. When you have really 5 players on the court at any point who can score, that makes this team very dangerous.
Right. I mean, going forward as they mix those new girls in, maybe gain a little bit better teamwork. I mean, that should be a really exciting team to see, especially in the second half. See how they progress. And
then the other team you've got to point out with how well they're playing is Canajoharie, who has really shown that the Lady Cougars are the class of the WAC, with Mackenzie Stoller and Alicia Stetton leading the way.
Right. I mean, they might have the 2 best players in that WAC North. I mean, looking at kind of how they've matched up against other teams and how they've played so far, it's tough to see anybody in the WAC playing within 10 points of them.
Be an interesting development as we go through next week. Plenty of holiday tournaments, and then right after that, as the new year hits, we get back to the league schedules. Teams really start to make the run up to the Section 2 playoffs. We'll have all that and more as we head down throughout the winter for you here on the Sideline Guys. For Michael, I'm Adam. We're the Sideline Guys. We'll see you next time at SidelineGuys.recordernews.com.